Hollywood, in its best year, generates roughly $42 billion globally. The Indian film industry, one of the largest by the volume in the world, peaked in 2023 at around 12,000 crore rupees, which is roughly 1.4 to 1.5 billion dollar in box office collection. And countries like Estonia, Iceland, and Uruguay runs on about $43 billion, $35 billion, and $80 billion annual GDP. Meanwhile, the global porn industry, despite being banned, restricted, and censored in multiple countries, is frequently estimated to generate over $100 billion every single year. Yes, that's more than Hollywood, far more than Indian film industry, and quietly more than the GDP of entire countries. And taking the advantage of this industry, there comes a platform that's breaking all the records in terms of business numbers, and that platform is OnlyFans.
OnlyFans is not where you go to get famous. OnlyFans is where you go to get paid.
What's so great about OnlyFans is you can pay creators directly and you know that it's going to that creator.
OnlyFans has emerged as the biggest and most interesting of these subscription-based creator platforms.
They've paid their creators more than $20 billion, and they've got 380 million users, which is a little bit more than the population of the United States. The overwhelming majority of their content is adult content.
Just to give you perspective, the world's most well-known subscription creator platform called Patreon has paid its creators $10 billion in 12 years, whereas OnlyFans in just 8 years has paid its creator $20 billion. That's twice what Patreon pays to its creators. And if you think that's impressive, look at these 2024 numbers. OnlyFans, with 350 million users, has generated $8 billion in revenue in 2024, out of which 20% cut went straight to the OnlyFans. That's $1.14 billion net revenue with just 42 total employees. That's 31 million revenue per employee, and that's more than Google, Apple, Meta, and you name it. But that's not the shocking part. The shocking part is more and more professional athletes are joining OnlyFans to make a living. And when we say professional athletes, we are not talking about low-ranked athletes. We are talking about Olympic champions, Wimbledon finalists, and Champions League footballers.
From track and field to bobsled, more and more pro athletes are joining OnlyFans to make a living. Even Douglas Costa and Nick Kyrgios.
OnlyFans keeps trying to be something more than a porn site, but it has thus far failed to shed that label.
So, in today's episode, we will try to understand how is OnlyFans different from other famous social media platforms, what is the OnlyFans business model and how does it work, and most importantly, why would any athlete, fitness creator, cooking show, musician or comedian join a platform which is popular for pornography? To understand OnlyFans, you need to know what exactly is the creator economy and why does world care so much about creator monetization. You see, in 2025, when you are watching a YouTube video, scrolling through Instagram or TikTok or consuming any kind of online content, none of the magic comes from the platform itself. It comes from the real people, the creators who post the content every single day just to keep you entertained. And the reason why creators are able to post on frequently basis is the monetization they get, which comes from the advertisers who are paying the platform to showing their ad. And because of the advertisers, social media platforms are running successfully. And today, creator economy is not a buzzword anymore. It's literally one of the largest and fastest growing economic sector on the planet. And the most miraculous thing about the creator economy is that it's now worth $215 billion and growing at 20 to 25% every single year, which is more powerful than traditional media combined. But back in 2016, this was not very obvious. The social media world of 2016 was completely different. Creator monetization was unclear, inconsistent, and mostly controlled by the platforms and advertisers. So, all you could do as creator was post the content for free, hope that it will vent, and maybe, just maybe, make the money from the ads or the brand's deal. But one of the things that got me really interested in OnlyFans business model is, whereas most social media companies like Facebook and Instagram make money from advertisers, but OnlyFans make all their money direct from the creators, and creator makes money direct from the fans.
We only make money when creators make money.
So the basic business model of OnlyFans is OnlyFans took 20% cut from the creator's revenue. But you know what's even more interesting? OnlyFans did not invent the idea of revenue sharing, but it had the timing on their side, because other websites already existed that allowed the creators to monetize their content directly from the fans. And one of the famous and successful platform that directly depend on the revenue sharing model is Patreon. And as soon as the platforms like Patreon launched, creators went from begging brands for sponsorships to charging fans directly. Podcasters, YouTubers, and musicians, they all started earning predictable incomes. But this is when the OnlyFans team observed two enormous problems in the system. First, they observed that most platforms still control everything: the pricing, the rule, the revenue split. Patreon took 10%, YouTube took 45%, and Instagram paid creators almost nothing. And second, creators had no way to make their own audience. Suppose you have 10 million Instagram or YouTube followers, but platform can change the algorithm tomorrow. And if platform did that, your reach can collapse overnight. And we have seen that happening already. There used to be many creators, those used to get millions and millions of the reach. And today, their reach has been completely collapsed. So the question over here is, when the entire world is with advertiser first and creator second business model for any kind of social media platform, then why was Tim crazy enough to build OnlyFans? Well, Tim knew that if he could build a platform that gave creators full control and fans direct access, he could unlock billions in revenue that advertising platforms were leaving on the table. And this is how OnlyFans saw the direct monetization as a gateway to the future of the creator economy. And this is how, ladies and gentlemen, in 2016, OnlyFans launched a revolutionary business model of 80-20 split. Creators keep 80% revenue and the platforms take 20% from the creators. Fan directly pay, no advertiser involved. That's more generous and more transparent than most other platforms. Even YouTube take 45% of the revenue. And to the entire industry, this sounded completely crazy. I mean, why would someone pay for the content? Why would creators give up the brand deals? And how would this even scale? And as everyone predicted, OnlyFans failed so miserably in its first year that almost no creators joined the platform. Things got so bad that they only had a few thousands user total. The question is why? Because this is supposed to be a perfect creator platform, right? Well, the reason was simple but brutal: stigma and competition. When OnlyFans first launched in 2016, they tried to attract mainstream creators like YouTubers, fitness influencers, musicians, and podcasters. But mainstream creators asked one simple question: why would I charge my fans when I keep my content for free and make money from the deals and advertisements? So OnlyFans has been failed to the mainstream creators. But that's when something unexpected happened that has changed everything for the OnlyFans. The adult content creators discovered OnlyFans because they find gold mine here. Traditional adult performers used to took 50 to 80% of creator revenues. Webcam website kept 60 to 70% of the earning, and adult performers used to get only 30 to 40%. Because adult platforms and webcams were used to control everything: the pricing, the content format, the fan relationship, and adult performers were just employees. But when adult performers see that OnlyFans is offering entirely different revenue model, which is that creators can keep the 80% of the revenue versus 30 to 40% traditional adult performers. Creators own their fans' relationship, creators set their own price, full control over subscriptions, PPV and tips, and rest is the history. Adult performers who were making 2000 to 5000 per month on traditional platforms starting making 10,000 to 50,000 per month on OnlyFans. And by 2018, adult content has become the dominant revenue driver on the platform, and OnlyFans stopped fighting it. And OnlyFans leaned in this business. Although this was not the plan A of OnlyFans, but it became the foundation of billion-dollar business. And then come COVID-19 in 2020, and OnlyFans went from niche platform to global phenomena. Millions job lost overnight. Lockdown forced people to online. Mainstream celebrities like Bella Thorne, Cardi B joined the OnlyFans, making it mainstream news. And every major news platform like CNN, BBC, Forbes, Bloomberg were writing about OnlyFans millionaire. The OnlyFans growth was explosive. In 2019, OnlyFans has almost 3 lakh creators. In 2020, they had 1.6 million creators, and in 2021, they had 2.1 million creators. And because of this, the revenue growth of OnlyFans was 118% year on year. And with this growth, OnlyFans became a cultural phenomenon. But again, there was one enormous problem. Even as OnlyFans were growing at 118% year on year growth, the platform faced an existential threat that almost destroyed everything overnight. In August 2021, OnlyFans announced that they would ban sexually explicit content starting October 2021. And the reason behind that was Visa, MasterCard and major banks were threatening to cut off OnlyFans payment processing entirely unless they remove adult content. And this was life or death situation for OnlyFans, because if banks refused to process the payments, the entire business model would collapse, and everyone questioned if OnlyFans would survive or not. But within 6 days, OnlyFans reserved the decision entirely. What actually happened behind the scene was OnlyFans demonstrated to the banks that their platform had invested in compliance infrastructure like age verification, AI content moderation, legal teams, fraud prevention. This was actually safer and more compliant than the most competitors.
We go above and beyond what many other social media platforms do in terms of content moderation. We review every single piece of content that appears on the OnlyFans platform.
In 2025, OnlyFans was fined over £1 million for breaches relating to age verification. OnlyFans accepted the findings and changed its policy.
They have a process in place. It's actually pretty rigorous. When you set up an account, you have to have proof of your identity. So you have to have a driver's license. You have to take a selfie with your driver's license. You have to give them your social security number. You have to do a selfie check-in periodically after you have a creator account to prove that you are still who you say you are.
And after this banking crisis, OnlyFans come with another idea to build new vertical on top of it. And in 2021, OnlyFans launched Off TV, a free, safe for work streaming platform. Off TV featured fitness creators, cooking shows, musicians, comedians like Whitney, athletes, and lifestyle content creators. But you know what, guys? 80-20 sharing split model is not the only one thing that makes OnlyFans different from other social media platforms, because unlike the other social media apps, you will not find OnlyFans on any app store, because Apple's or Google terms do not allow the platform with sexually explicit content. So OnlyFans operate entirely outside the app ecosystem. And now if you are thinking that not being on app ecosystem is bad for the OnlyFans, well, not exactly. Instead, it works in their favor.
That was a decision made by us because we were hopeful that we would end up processing a large amount of payment volume.
By not being on the app stores, OnlyFans doesn't pay Apple and Google a 15 to 30% cut on all transactions made on an app.
That's enabled us to keep our 80-20 monetization split, which is fundamental to how we do business. If we had to give 30% of our 20% to somebody else, that may change the economics for us.
They are able to become one of the most profitable and revenue efficient company in the world, and able to pay its creator more than what YouTube pays to its creator, largely because it's not available on the app system.
not being on the App Store has not had a negative impact on growth.
So, almost by accident, they landed a massive competitive advantage, better payouts, more control over platform, and one of the most unique business model in the creator economy. So, if you understood OnlyFans business model and how it works, now here comes the most important question. Athletes, musicians, and comedians, they make tons of money anyway. Then the question is, why they join the platform that is popular for the pornography content when they already get the crazy salaries, prize monies, and sponsorship? Or do they? Let me explain you with two examples. Example 1 is why musicians are choosing OnlyFans. And the answer is,
I am making more money from a handful of fans on OnlyFans versus like the millions of fans that I have worldwide listening to my music. The cost of everything that it takes to tour has gone up quite drastically, yet musicians' wages have not. And so lots of bands are finding themselves in positions where they cannot afford to go on tour.
Here I am outside the Spotify building. Pay your artists fairly. You're unethical.
The streamers and the major labels are stealing from artists. My song Foundations has over 100 million streams. You'd think I'd be a millionaire. I'm not.
That's because Spotify pays between 0.003 and 0.005 cents per stream. So you'd need around 500,000 streams per month to get the equivalent of a US minimum wage. And that's before label cuts, management fees, and publishing splits.
if that is very clear to you, now comes the question that why are athletes, Olympic athletes are joining OnlyFans? The very basic answer to this question is money. Because unless you are a global superstar like Messi, Ronaldo or LeBron, the truth is most professional athletes earn surprisingly very low. Let's take Olympic athletes for an example. The average track or field athletes make around $15,000 per year from their sports. That's less than a McDonald's worker in France who earns about $22,000 on minimum wages. So, how do most athletes survive? They rely on a fragile mixture of three things: salaries, if they are lucky, prize money, which varies widely, and sponsorships, which mostly go to the big names in football, basketball, and for the cricket. And it gets more worse. The Olympic system, which generates billions of dollars per cycle through broadcasting rights, sponsorships, licensing fees, but they pay absolutely nothing to athletes directly, even if they win the gold. And it's not just the Olympic. Study consistently show that 70 to 80% professional athletes do not consider themselves financially stable. Travel, gear, training, nutrition, it all added up. And their sponsorship money is dry up, especially the athletes who are consistently not on the TV. Which bring us back to the OnlyFans. Because if you are a world-class athlete with loyal fan base, but you are earning less than the delivery boy, then why would you not turn to the platform that lets you monetize your following directly? And that's exactly what OnlyFans is offering. OnlyFans allow creators, athletes or whoever join their platform to monetize directly from the audience. It's part of a larger shift in maturing a content economy. Creators getting a bigger slice in value they actually generate. And for most part, that's genuinely a good thing. More control, more transparency, and more revenue for the people doing the work. But here's a catch. For athletes, OnlyFans still come with the baggage. Yes, they market the idea of behind-the-scene access, training footage, recovery routines, and Q&A. Plus, one of the major reasons why our pro athletes are joining OnlyFans is that many of them are getting paid by the OnlyFans to do so. They are not joining OnlyFans only because of the 80-20 split. Athletes are also receiving good old sponsorship money directly from the OnlyFans. Why? Because OnlyFans want to go mainstream. And their way is in the sports, athletes, and in the mainstream creators. That's why OnlyFans even have the whole sport blog on their website where they actively promote OnlyFans sponsors athletes and the teams. The strategy is social proofing. You see, athletes and fans will be more likely to sign up when they see the others, especially the peoples they respect, doing the same. But let's be real. the most content on OnlyFans platform is not about the athletes or comedians or the workout tips. And unless OnlyFans is willing to go beyond that, the odds of making serious money are very slim. And this is why for athletes, this creates a real risk. Aligning with a platform still associated with adult content could harm the sponsorships opportunity, turn off the brands, and eventually backfire. And some critics also argue that it normalizes the explicit content, or worse, pushes financially struggle athletes toward the choices they would not otherwise make. And it becomes an ethical question. Is OnlyFans empowering athletes to monetize their attention, or is it just nudging the vulnerable to sell their bodies? Because the adult content is still the OnlyFans core business. But if OnlyFans wants to grow beyond its current ceiling, it needs to diversify. And sports is one of the most trusted, emotionally driven content category on the planet. So it also fits a much broader trend, athletes building the direct relationship with the fans without relying on the media companies or the brand as middlemen. And that's all for today from my side. If you learned something valuable, please share this video with your friends and family, and I'll see you in the next one.
Okay, bye.